And so it's something a bit different just to talk about, and maybe some people might know about this. It's a bit of history, and this should be taught, and it's kind of forgotten about, and it shouldn't be forgotten about. It has to do with an infantry division in the British Army, which was in the British Far East, which was British Wales at the time, aka India now. It's India now. It was a British Dominion, and obviously it was called the Connaught Rangers. Now, as you know, Connaught is a province in the Republic. I suppose a province would be the word, yeah, province. From Sligo and obviously Galway, Mayo, all them Celtic Roscommon, all them being Connaught. And a lot of them hated with Sligo. And I'm grateful to President Higgins for going to Sligo today to, I suppose, have a memorial for them, for their sacrifice. Now we'll get into that in a second. That they were part of the British Army. They were part of the British Army. They were over in India. I don't know why they were over in India. They were I think they were an expeditionary force. But a lot of them were from, and some of them from Celtic Westmeath too. A lot of them were from Connaught, as we said. And they mutinied because what was happening now, the Black and Tans, what the Black and Tans were doing and things like that. So they mutinied. They refused to go on service, do patrols, things like that. They mutinied. They just basically went on strike more or less. And said they wouldn't accept it over the situation that's happening back in their own home country. And one of them were executed by firing squad for treason, as it was called, or treason. And exactly nearly 100 years to the day that fellow was executed. Again, his name is here. But again, I leave you to read it. Again, I'm terrible of trying to pronounce names and things. So make sure to read this article. It does do it justice better than I would do it justice. But again, I just want to acknowledge them, for their bravery above all else, and for the sacrifice. They didn't take up arms, but it's the solemnity thing that they did. That they said no. We won't tolerate it. We're mutinying because we won't accept what's happening in Ireland. The Black and Tans are doing to our people. And again, especially because it was in another country, it was far, far away from Ireland, India, modern day India. That's a long, long distance away from Ireland, and the mutiny too. And again, that didn't look, at the time I suppose, didn't look very well for the British Army, soldiers of the British Army mutinying. And then obviously they shot one, which I don't think would have looked very well. Especially with everything going on in Ireland, and Terry McSweeney on hunger strike, the Lord Mayor of Dublin, the War of Independence, just mayhem. Unlove for countries, but they contain the British Empire. So obviously these men, and they should be commemorated. They really should. And again, I'm grateful the President Higgins did unveil a commemoration there, for these men. And again, they should be taught about in school. They are heroes in Ireland. They are heroes of our great country, even though the people say they were on the enemy forces and things like that. But the thing is that they didn't like what the British Empire was doing. And again, it took great balls for them to say no and face treason, face firing squad, not prison, or to face firing squad. So yeah, it's always good to remember these people for their great sacrifice, that they did. Again, they made a huge sacrifice. They made a huge stride, even though again they didn't take arms or anything like that. They made a huge stride for Ireland and for the love of Ireland and for all they cared about in Ireland. So yeah, I leave this article in the description, now from the Irish Times. But yeah, it's something to look into, and I do recommend people to look into it. Again, I don't know the fullest of it. I could probably, if I did look into it, again, I do remember learning it in school too, a fair bit about it. During 2016, that's back in 2016, 100 years anniversary of the Easter Rising, we were taught about that. But the Connaught Rangers in the British Far East. Again, I can't remember everything. Again, memory might serve me wrong. But again, that's as far as much as I know. Again, I'm terrible reading here. I'm reading through bits here. But unless somebody talk to me about it, I would know what I'm talking about. But everything they said there is correct as far as I remember. And again, I'm reading a bit here, but I do suggest to look it up. And if you're in Sligo, going through Sligo some of the days, maybe pay a bit of respect, say a prayer, and commemorate these men that made a brave stride for Ireland, and basically stood up for Ireland. And one of them faced the ultimate sacrifice, for Ireland. Thank you.